were we going to have some of these speakers remote during the conference or not? And so we decided, and if it's to maximize content and make sure that when we're at the conference, all the speakers are in front of you, the best option was we're basically going to have a third track for the conference. So in addition to those 24 sessions, we're actually doing a third track, but we're doing it the week before. So the week before.
ColdFusion Alive, the podcast for the ColdFusion community. Discover practices, tools, techniques, tips and trends for modern ColdFusion development. Brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. Develop, secure, optimize. Here is your host, the founder of TerraTech, Michaela Light.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Gavin Pickin from Autis Solutions, and we're going to be talking all about Into the Box ColdFusion Conference 2022. Lots of new things happening this year. And if you haven't been to Into the Box before, you're going to learn why you should be going. Welcome, Gavin.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice to see you back on the show. And for those of you who don't know, Gavin is a ColdFusion expert. He does all kinds of things, JavaScript, Vue.js, Docker. He does trainings and podcasts. In fact, he's one of the co-hosts of the Modernize or Die podcast, along with Brad and a few other Autistonians, or whatever the correct phrase is for people who work with
Autusians, I think is the way they say it. I don't know either.
Autusians. Ooh, I love it. He's originally from New Zealand, but he's now a Californian. So welcome, Gavin. Thanks
for having me. I appreciate the time. And it's good to be on the other side of the podcast for once.
Absolutely. Yes. It's so maybe we should answer for people who don't know, who've been asleep for the last 9 years. What exactly is Into the Box?
So Into the Box, basically it's a conference that Autis started to try and give people an opportunity to see more Autis Box products. So before Into the Box even started, we had this thing called ColdBox Developer Week. So it was an online conference kind of thing, and we had 3-4 sessions a day, 5 days in the week. So we had like 20 sessions where, Autis and then a lot of community members, because back in 2012, 2013, when all of these sort of things started, Luis and Brad were the two big Autusians. And then we had a lot of community members that were out there. And so they'd come on and talk about all the different stuff. So we talked about Logbox and ColdBox and Wirebox and TestBox and, all the boxes that we had back in the older days. And then we got to the point where we had more boxes than ColdBox had. And so we started the Autis Developer Week. And because obviously conferences didn't want us to take over and have half the conference talking about ColdBox or CommandBox or whatever, we thought, well, we should start our own little conference. So what we did is we did like a 1-day pre-conference before CF Objective. And so we started back in 2014. But this 2022 is the 9th edition. So we've been going strong for a long time. And after a few years, the day before CF Objective, we wanted to have the basic expand, because 1 day wasn't enough. We had 1 day of Into the Box, and then there was 3 days of CF Objective. So we're like, we can't do a whole week with 2 days Into the Box and 3 days, CF Objective. So we're like, you know what? It's big enough. It stands on its own legs. So let's break out. And Luis had just recently moved to Houston, and so we decided to host it there. And so 2016, Houston had its the first Into the Box. It wasn't piggybacked onto another conference, and it went really well. And so
it did. I remember. I think I went the second year. I think I may have missed the first year, but it was an amazing event, Gavin. About 200 people that year. I don't know how many people you're expecting this year. Any ideas? Or?
Pretty close to it. I don't think we quite had 200 people the first one there, but we basically we break even. That's our goal with this, is just to basically make a great conference, get a lot of people who want to, get there. And if we can break even, we're happy. We don't have the budget Adobe has to throw money everywhere and take it as a big marketing loss. But I think, this year we're hoping for the 150 or 200. I mean, we like the fact that it's small and cozy, and you get to know people, get time to talk to everybody, so we're okay with that. But it's enough people.
It's very intimate. If you want to talk to any other ColdFusion developers who are there, or people who've written these open source Box ColdFusion products, you can hit them up in the corridor track or over lunch or breakfast. It's very accessible.
Yeah, so, that's what we like about it.
Everyone was very friendly the few times I've been there, and I've heard great things from people I've interviewed, attendees who've been there.
Yeah, for sure.
And for those listening, first of all, there's two things I want to bring up. First of all, you may be like, Box what? Not everyone has heard of or used any of these Box products, so I would like to do on that. But the other thing we're going to talk about a bit is this is not only Box or Ortus things. There's a whole bunch of, I think you call it community track, or there's a whole bunch of ColdFusion and database topics that have nothing to do with the Box stuff. So if you're wondering, should you stay tuned in? Is this of any interest to you if you're not, a Box fanatic? The answer is yes. And by the way, if you're not a Box fanatic, you probably should, at least try out Command Box, for example. Or some of the other ones. And
that's the thing is, with the conference, it's a great way to have a look at a lot of different things. And, usually people have heard of ColdBox. It's one of the big 3 MVC frameworks still left in ColdFusion. ColdBox is, according to your survey, which we'll talk about in another episode coming up, the State of the CF Union survey, ColdBox is the bigger, most used framework. Framework 1 is still up there, but it doesn't have the same support now that Sean Caulfield's moved on. And then CF Wheels has been revived and doing well too. So as far as frameworks go, ColdBox is one of the big ones out there. And for a long time, everyone thought if you don't use ColdBox, Ortus doesn't mean anything. But like you said, Command Box, you don't have to use any other Box product. Command Box is a great CLI tool that lets you get up and running with servers and build your own commands in ColdFusion and just does a million things, which is you can use that with anything. And ForgeBox is a package management, suite which works with Command Box. And, CF Wheels people are using it to download their plugins and stuff. And, the guys over at Preside CMS have everything running through ForgeBox. ForgeBox is a community product, and you don't have to use ColdBox stuff to use it. And even with ColdBox, you don't have to use ColdBox to be able to use Wirebox if you want to do dependency injection, or if you want to improve your logging with Logbox. There's a bunch of stuff that we build that doesn't need ColdBox, runs in the dark, basically, of all those other things. There's a bunch of great things out there. And so this conference allows us to dive deeper and really give you a better look at all those tools. And then we've got a bunch of community people speaking about other things too. And, we're talking about Vue.js and JavaScript and databases and caching and, and there's a lot of great topics from a lot of people. And yeah, it's a really good thing. But, we kind of needed our own conference because we got so much that we're doing and pushing forward with the community, and with the community support, we're able to do that. And so, because at first people thought of us as ColdBox and documentation. That's kind of what they were known for. But back in 2012, when all the big ColdFusion people left, everyone was going to other languages because they needed a CLI. They needed a package manager. They're missing all these tools. They wanted better testing. They wanted better documentation generation tools. And so Ortus said, well, we can do this with ColdFusion. So why don't we build them? And so we started building a lot of these tools. And like I said, with community help, because without the community, we couldn't do this. We built up all these tools, and, through open source, we've got a lot of great things to show off. And, and again, the conference, 2 days, we have a day of workshop beforehand. We couldn't fit it all in. We've been thinking about going to a 3-day conference for a while, but this year we changed it up a little bit. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too.
Yeah, there's some exciting new things. Actually, it's very different from previous year. So I'm very interested in what you've done. I think it's quite radical for a conference. This is more of a conference than even CF United was, or CF Summit in Las Vegas is, with what you're doing ahead of time. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I do want to say from my experience of attending Into the Box that it's, if you're a bit skeptical about some of these box products, or you're not really quite clear, it's a great chance to dip your toe in the water, talk to other people using them, see the experts talking about it, and finally get, oh, that's why I could be using this tool, or here's an opportunity for my team to use these things. And the other related thing, which you kind of touched on there, we've got the language CFML, but the ecosystem around a programming language is as important or more important for success in modern development as is the language features. And really, ColdFusion, with all the innovations Ortis and other people have done in the ecosystem, the other major ones I can think of are the all the extensions for VS Code,
Matthew Brown,
really modern stuff. Yeah. So, well. And then, there are the commercial products that Pete Freitag in the security area with his HackMyCF and Fixnator, and all his innovations doing Lambda code in ColdFusion. And then the Fusion Reactor guys have a lot of innovations too. And the point I want to make here to people listening is, if you're doing, old school ColdFusion and you're not using modern ecosystem tooling, you're kind of missing out on most of the benefit of ColdFusion in 2022. And this conference is a chance to see that in action, talk to people who are doing modern stuff, and incorporate that back into your own development environment.
Yeah. And I actually did a series on the online CF meetup about, when should you roll your own versus build, versus using a third-party library, and how to use third-party libraries in ColdFusion, and sort of done a whole basic series on how to make those decisions, because a lot of people are scared to use third parties because, there's pros and cons of everything. So I try to lay it out in a way that, here are the decision criteria you should look at for when deciding to build a tool. And, the guys on the Working Code podcast actually talked about that just recently about, some of the pros and cons and how they make the decision. And it's something that people need to think about more. So yeah, if you go look on Charlie's online CF meetup, there was about 3 in a row that I did all about, third-party libraries, should you build your own versus use that, and, and how to use them as well, whether they're Java or ForgeBox packages or just someone's GitHub repo or just, so that's a great
We'll add those links into the show notes for people listening, which you can find at terratech.com for this podcast episode. And I think that's a great point. In the State of the Union survey, we had a question about, does your organization even allow you to use open source products? And I was blown away that not every organization even thinks that's okay. I mean, guys, wake up and smell the coffee. It's currently 2022 when we're recording this episode, whenever people are listening. And if you're not using some open source code or tools, it's like I can't think of the right metaphor. It's like you're trying to drive your car with square wheels and wondering why the ride is bumpy,
Yeah, and I understand there's a lot of security implications with bad actors and everything. And, that's why we've been working with Pete Freitag to try and even improve the security of things up on ForgeBox. And, and there's obviously...
Really? What's Pete doing with you? Is he kind of scanning your code to make sure it's not malicious? Or?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is we're looking at those types of options for people, because some people, they have to have that. And, Pete has things like Fixnator, and so we're trying to work with him, and and just better code passing and everything. But we're pretty locked down with ForgeBox, and we're not a big target like NPM and stuff. So but that's something we're aware of, that people can be concerned about. And bigger companies, sometimes they can use open source, but they've got to fill out a bunch of paperwork, and there's a whole procedure to it. So it's one of those things, they have to decide what they can and can't do, and the licensing. There's a lot to it. And again, Each to their own, but it's like there are a lot of benefits. And like you said, if you are able to, there's a lot of things out there that you can, save yourself a lot of time and energy and effort and get a better product by focusing on your core product and not worrying about how to implement OAuth or, some decrypted password library, because we've done that. Don't do it over and over again. Don't reinvent the wheel. And so, yeah. But like you said, there's definitely a lot of opportunities there. It's 2022. It's easy enough to do. And again, we'll link to those presentations, and I give you a lot of reasons why you should be using package management, and that's just one way to do it.
Excellent. Now, I'm kind of curious. You said this started off as a pre-conference to CF Objective. May it rest in peace, a dead X conference. Or whatever the Monty Python parrot sketch is. So why did you guys think it was best to make your own conference rather than continuing to run pre-conferences? I know you touched on that earlier, but I think there's some other things to bring out here.
Yeah, I mean, really, I know that a lot of people have to make the decision when they're going to a conference, like, okay, family and work time, they can only get so much time off at once. And so if we made it a pre-conference and did 2 days before a 3-day conference, most people aren't comfortable traveling for 6 or 7 days if you travel before and after the conference, and a company is less likely to give someone 5 or 6 days off of work, to do it. And, so it was one of those things. And CF Objective wasn't cheap.
I just want to interrupt that for people listening who think they're getting days off work. Going to a conference is some of the hardest work you're going to do because you're going to learn so much new stuff. Your brain is, going to go in overdrive, and you're going to come back with a zillion things you can use at work.
Oh no, so it's definitely not a vacation.
It's not a vacation.
Well, it's time off from client work that they bill for, and so therefore the boss man will say, you've got to make up that time, or that's because not only are they paying for you to go to a conference, you're possibly losing, clients if you have client work to do, so you're losing some billing time, and so that's something to be, to consider. Like Ortus isn't a huge company too, so when we run this conference, we've got to think about everyone who's going to be there not doing client work for a week. And we still do a large amount of client work to sort of basically help fund our open source work, right? Like we don't have, so that's always a balance. But again, like you said, it's not a vacation for you. You're there, you get to, network with a lot of people, you get to learn a lot. And the first time I met all the, everybody at, CF Objective way back in the day, I did a 3-day boot camp for ColdBox, and I did 3 days of CF Objective. It was 6 days. Yeah, my brain was hurting, but I was inspired. I was pumped up. I was ready to go. And that's a great thing about a conference. But we wanted to do our own so we could grow and we could do the things we wanted to do, and we didn't want to have to make someone choose. Like, okay, if they want to go to another conference, maybe they'll pick CF Objective because it was bigger. But also, it was a lot more expensive, too. It was like $1,000 for 3 days or something. It was not a cheap conference. And so then if they have to pay for our conference, which I think the first year we did it was like $50. It was a steal, because obviously we just got a tag on a little room. And as we've grown, we've get to bigger events. But, so we really wanted to do that. And we wanted to have people be able to attend. And a lot of people couldn't get the time off. And, and I said, we have lots to talk about. And over the years, it's only grown and grown. So by 2016, I think we're 3 years into it. And we're like, what? We think we can make this work. And so Luis did all the math and everything. And, and we basically decided, let's give it a go. We hoped it would work out. And we had a lot of great people show up. And some people weren't even Box people, but they came to it because they were wanting advanced topics. And that's one thing that this conference offers. It's not how to output something using CF output. It's not how to do the basic tag stuff. Like, we're doing some deeper things. We got people who are presenting that use design patterns and other things. Like that's one of the things we pride ourselves on Ortus. We don't just build something in the dark. When every time someone builds something for Ortus, we go out and study what are other languages doing, what are other frameworks doing, what are their best practices? How can that help ColdFusion, and how can we bring that back and make ColdFusion more powerful? And so a lot of the things that you've seen lately, they're very similar to things that Laravel's been doing. And TestBox uses the same BDD structure and everything than Jasmine, and those RSpec TestBox testing libraries are using in other languages. Like we go to other conferences to learn what other languages are doing, and then bring that back. So that's part of it. We basically see this as a way to educate, and people really like that. It's small and intimate. They get to talk to us and pick our brains about, like, I don't use ColdBox yet. How can I start using this? And we've sort of helped them sort of get a migration plan. And, we're really, I think we're really down and friendly, and you can talk to all the speakers before and after the sessions. And, we can't forget Happy Box. It's a great event, but it's a really good conference for that. But we go a little deeper, so it's not just the cookie cutter sessions. And so people like that. When they go there, they're going to really get a lot out of it. And, the slides and the code is there, and they can take it home and then, get value out of it right away. And so it's not aimed at beginners. We've had a few beginners come and they've still really enjoyed it. But, it's not like CF Summit where sometimes you go to the sessions and you don't learn as much, because they're aimed at the very broad spectrum of, welcome to ColdFusion, and so we really dive deeper, and that's something we pride ourselves on.
It is a deep dive, though, if you're newer to ColdFusion, I still think you can learn valuable stuff. Certainly anyone who's intermediate is going to learn a lot. And, even for advanced folks, there's new releases of box products, there's new techniques to use. There's always things to learn. So, it's pretty amazing what's in there. And, I think what I say to anyone who's trying to convince their boss to send them, look, maybe you won't get, work done for the users at your company or clients if you're an agency, or, or if you're a freelancer. Yes, you won't be billing for that week, but you're going to make it up in the months following, because you will now be doing better code for your clients, and you'll be working more efficiently. I mean, I don't even think about whether I should send staff to this conference, because I just know they come back inspired, excited about the language, and more productive. And I think sometimes people in business forget that, some of obviously it's important to make dollars, but you've got to have fun with what you're doing and enjoy it. And it's so easy. What I see in not just ColdFusion developers, this is true in the whole IT industry. There's a lot of burnout that happens. And, learning new things is one of the counteractions to avoiding burnout. The other one is not overdoing the amount of work you do and burning the candle at both ends. Because
they say that too. It's like you don't get burnt out doing things you love. You get burnt out doing things that you have to do. And, so if you make it enjoyable, you make it fun, you don't get burnt out the same. I mean, trust me, I work way too hard, but I don't get burnt out the same because I really enjoy everything I get to do, and so.
This podcast is brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. Develop, secure, optimize. Get detailed show notes on today's episode and your free CF Alive Modern ColdFusion Guide at terratech.com. That is TerraTech.com. And now back to today's show.
I get to do, and so it's really great. And so, I mean, I said, I have a lot of people that aren't Box people. They were friends with one people that still wanted to come and see, and they loved it. I mean, and we're really proud that we put on the conference and we get such good positive feedback, and we have people coming back time and again. And we've got some people that don't even do ColdFusion anymore, and they still come to this conference because, they just get a kick out of everything we're doing, and they want to support the community and get, talk to all those people that they've made friends with. And so it's really cool. Like, we really enjoy throwing it too. It's a good experience all around.
It is. And that you make a good point there, because I was talking to some of the Lucy folks, and one way you can give back to open source is to support them in some way. In the case of Lucy, you can buy a support contract. I don't know do you have a Box support contract? Is that something you guys have?
We have our Patreon supporters. So that's how we decided to do that. So with Patreon, we've got different levels of support. And basically at the bronze package level, we give you like a complimentary CF a ForgeBox Pro license and a CF Cast license. So if you get that, you want to support us, those are things you can subscribe to as well. Or if you support us on Patreon, you get those as well once you hit bronze. And there's a few other perks too. But that's basically the way we're trying to do that, and that helps fund the podcast, so the CFML News podcast, which we do weekly. So that supports that. And then the next level of support from Patreon is basically paying for ForgeBox, which is our package management site. And so we can, pay for all the S3 packages and everything. So all the people downloading TestBox for their CI/CDs and, all the code they're putting up there. And so, that's the next goal, is to sort of fully fund that. Because right now, Order still pays a good chunk of the money towards all that hosting and everything. That's part of the thing we do for the community. So the more supporters we get on Patreon, the more Orders can spend that money on other things in the community, so we can do more open source. Again, we have sort of the 80-20 rule in our company. So 80% of our time we try and focus on client work, and then we use that to try and fund about 20% of our work to be able to, work on ColdBox and ContentBox and, CommandBox and all the other tools and, those types of things. And CFcast is one of those things as well. And, it's a great video library with a lot of free and paid content, but that itself is, we got quite a few subscribers where it's starting to basically break even, so it can afford us to keep putting that content out. So we get new videos all the time. But so patreon.com/order solutions, and you guys can choose a certain level. And some of the higher levels, if you guys are supporting us at a higher level, we mention you on the podcast, you get a place on the website, and then some of the packages even have into the box tickets are free and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool perks. And we've got quite a few supporters. I think we're about 36 supporters or something right now. And every week on the podcast we read them out and mispronounce their names as well as we can.
I interviewed one of your colleagues on the podcast about CFcast. My brain is blanking out.
Eric is the one that built it. Was it Eric?
Eric Peters. I wanted to say Pete, but I knew that wasn't his first name.
It's Eric Peterson.
Eric Peters, all about Peterson. Yeah. So I'll put the link to that episode down there. CFcast is a great thing. All our developers at TerraTech have a subscription to that, because there's like 300 or 400 training sessions on there. It's like a no-brainer. It's sort of, I call it Netflix for ColdFusion. It's like, on-demand ColdFusion training whenever you want.
And we've been doing a lot of free stuff there too. So like talk about the package management. I did a whole series on, creating your first ForgeBox package. And so that's free because we want people to learn that, but obviously some of the more deeper topics or, higher end topics we have under the paid umbrella, but you also get all the old Into the Box videos. So if you didn't make it to last year's Into the Box, you can watch them all with a paid subscription. Or if you want to have the free subscription, you can just buy a certain package for those libraries. But if I think it's $25 a month, and basically you get all the old Into the Box videos for the last 3-4 years. You've got a ton of other content. So I think it's a great value. And again, you're supporting artists who are building all these tools for the community, and it's just another way to support us, and we appreciate that.
I'd recommend anyone who's using Box products and found them useful, or anyone who's using Lucy and finds it useful, support the organizations and people who are doing that. And one way is to come to Into the Box, where you can directly meet the people who do it, or the other options we talked about. Now, why don't we look at who's going to be speaking this year? Can you tell us some of the people you're excited about that are speaking?
There's quite a few order speakers, but we have a lot of community speakers too. So at the actual Into the Box in-person conference, and I say that because I'm going to explain something else in a minute, but we have Scott Steinbeck, which I've known for a long time. He's actually from Bakersfield, and he actually took over a job when I left it, so he had to pick up all my legacy code. So I feel sorry for him, but he's a great speaker. He's going to be speaking on a couple of different things. He does great things with like just everything. So he's building an advanced PDF generation tool for Gitbook Markdown. And he's, last year he spoke about Postgres database servers. We also have like Nolan Irk is going to be there speaking about web components in your CFML application. Abram Adams, I met way back at CF Objective. He's going to be talking about Chaos, which is his command box module he built for his company to do DevOps. And it's crazy some of the things he's talking about. He's trying to open source that. He needs approval from his company to actually release that. But he's going to be speaking about that. And then Seth Stone's going to be doing a quick start for CI/CD automation on AWS. And then Sean Oden, this is more of a soft skills here, but his talk is all about, I'm just here for the t-shirt. But it's basically about imposter syndrome. And so imposter syndrome is really, really big these days. When you hear someone like Ben Nadel, which everybody in the ColdFusion community knows, and he gets this imposter syndrome too. It's like, how can he get imposter syndrome? Like, he's like behind Ben Forta, like in Ray Camden, like Ben is the third one where everyone knows in the ColdFusion world. So if someone like him can get imposter syndrome, then anyone can. And so Sean's talking about that, and I love that title. I'm just here for the t-shirt. But
that's great. Yes, I think every year you've had something along, as well as the hard technical topics, new releases and information, and you've always had at least one thing that covers the other side of being a developer. And because I think a lot of developers, it can be quite a lonely profession. You're in front of the computer a lot of the time, and there can be all kinds of mental illness or psychological issues that aren't often talked about because a lot of developers aren't used to talking about that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma behind, mental health in general and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to it. But it's a good session. I think it'll be a good one. He's done them in the past, and yeah, they really do well. And usually we put them later in the day too, when your brain's really melted and you just kind of need a softer session. And they're usually a little humor, and it's just good content. So yeah, we're excited to have him speaking again. And again,
and of course, Luis is going to be talking, probably sharing all the new things coming out in your roadmap this year, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And I'm sure Brad Wood will be there speaking as well.
Yep. So the usual Otis people will be there. So Luis is going to be there with Brad Wood, and then John Clausen is going to be there as well, and myself will be speaking. But then some of the newer team members we've got. So we've been building our team Otis the last few years, and we've really grown a lot. And so you'll hear from Grant Copley. He's going to be talking about CBFS with Luis, which is the ColdBox file system. So you can abstract any file system. So if you change from S3 to local storage to, like whatever file storage platform you want, your code doesn't have to change. You just tell it, hey, I'm talking to S3 now instead of my local drive. So in development, you can save files to your local, and when you push to production, a little environment setting says, okay, here's my S3 bucket, and the code doesn't change. It just uploads them to S3, and it acts like a local file system. So that's a great release we've just had.
That is a great time saver. I mean, we've worked with a number of clients who have local storage, and they move out to the cloud, AWS or Azure or whatever, and then, of course, they've got all these local files and they need to be stuck up there. And then you're changing all the code to where the files are. And I'm hoping that you guys could come up with a TARDIS box kind of thing that would do time travel and edit code in the past to add in this library, so that we just have to change it in one place to have files go wherever you want them.
Well, funnily enough, if you have traditional ColdFusion file function names, it'd be easy to find them. And then, that way it'd be easier for you to update. That's actually a good idea for a little command box command where you could basically pull up all those locations and then change them. I know they tried to stick as best they could to the existing ColdFusion function like names and stuff. So that way, hopefully changing won't be so hard. But like I said, that session will be great. And Grant's also talking about CB Wire. So Livewire is big in the Laravel community, and so we built CB Wire. So it's basically like ColdFusion code that's running, interactive front end. It's really cool. So he'll be speaking about that. And then we have
and what does this Wire thing do for you? For those who aren't Laravel fans and have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's kind of, it's basically your code is set up with ColdBox. And so you've got handlers and views, but in your views, they get dynamically changed. So you're almost like a single page app on the front end. And as you click around, it dynamically pulls in the content from your next view into the location. So it's very, very cool. Like it's got a lot of hot reloading type stuff built in. It's really slick. And so Grant's done a great job. He's really led the lead with that. And he spoke about it last year, and he's done a lot of changes to it this year. And yeah, so if you want to know, look that up. I think it's one of the ones that are available on CFcast for free for this year. We've done a few last year's best topics as like to get you excited about 2022. And so that's one of them, I believe. And but yeah, if you look at Livewire with Laravel, it's very much the same. So it's kind of like I've got a ColdFusion view, but I want to use like some Vue.js type stuff in there. And so you basically use these Livewire or CB Wire annotations to your divs and stuff. And it basically makes it more like a little JavaScript Vue piece, but we don't have to go write ColdBox APIs or, APIs to feed your data. You just do a handler and Vue, and it'll just change things out for you. It's really slick. So I definitely recommend that one. And then we got some other talks from
how many of these CB things do you have? Because we've used CB Elasticsearch, for example, in one of the apps we wrote, which was a really cool way of doing fast text search stuff. Yep. But you just mentioned CB Wire, and I guess CB stands for ColdBox.
Usually, but that's the funny thing, because CB could also be command box or content box. So that's where it gets confusing. But usually, CB in front of a module means it's it's a ColdBox module.
How many of these CB libraries or add-ons or tools are there?
A lot. And so the next session I was going to tell you about, Dan Card. Unpacking the box. Why so many boxes, and what the hell do they do? Because he's been on the team for over a year, and so he's just like, he keeps finding out about these new boxes. He's like, man, I didn't know we had a box for that, And so that session is going to be great, because the funny thing is he's actually built a map. So he's got this big old diagram.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, here's the little pieces, and then it expands. And so it's really cool. He's going to zoom in and like show you, and then sort of zoom out. I've seen it. It looks really cool. And so Dan Card's going to be talking about that. He's done a couple of webinars recently about, migrating from legacy or traditional code to more ColdBoxy code. And he's doing a workshop on it. But this one here, I think this will answer your question. There's a lot. But the thing is, you're like, why do we need them all? It's like, you might not need all of them, but they all have their place, and they all have their, pros and cons. But yeah,
there's probably a few dependencies in there. Some of them you do need ColdBox to run, but a lot of them are standalone, like you said earlier. So
yeah, for sure.
They play well with ColdBox if you use that framework, but if you're not into ColdBox, and I understand not everyone is, and we don't use it on every app. There's
definitely plenty. And then like just in this little list here, we've got CBFS, which we just announced, the CB file system. Eric Peterson's going to be talking about CBQ. So it's jobs and tasks in the background. That's a queuing thing. So similar to like RabbitMQ. So you can choose if you want to use a local database or a RabbitMQ, or you can choose your queue to back it. So that's CBQ. That's a new one. CB Playwright is also new. So that's end-to-end tests with Playwright and TestBox. So Eric is also talking about that one. So just in this little list here, we've got, 3, 4, 5. Oh, John Clausen's going to be talking about a new one called CB Commerce. It's a flexible modular e-commerce solution. So yeah, at this conference, we're announcing 4 new CB modules. So there's plenty. But it's probably 50 or 60, I swear. There's tons.
Yeah, I've put a list of all the pre-workshop topics and the community speaker sessions, the audit sessions into the show notes. And, for anyone listening, just look through that and see what are things that interest you. And what are technologies or box tools that you've like? I've never even heard of that. Because I find a lot of thing with conferences or books like Louise's books, it's, even knowing something exists is half the battle. Once you know something exists, you can research it, you can try it out, you can see if it's a good solution. But if you don't even know that solution exists, you're now kind of driving that car with the square wheels again, wondering why the passengers in the back, i.e. your customers, are not so happy. Yeah. So,
well, there's another thing we should probably tell them about too.
Yes.
And so along with those 2 days, we've got 2 tracks. So we have 28 sessions. No, sorry, 24 sessions, because we have a couple of shorter so you guys can get to your flights if you're leaving that day. We got the 2 keynotes, which always run for an hour to an hour and a half because we can't fit all the news in there. But then we had a ton of speakers that we weren't going to be able to fit. And some can't travel for COVID reasons. And, are unavailable because COVID kind of opened up. They didn't have the travel budgets and the time available. So we had to figure out what we're going to do. Were we going to have some of these speakers remote during the conference or not? And so we decided, and if it's to maximize content and make sure that when we're at the conference, all the speakers are in front of you, the best option was we're basically going to have a 3rd track for the conference. So in addition to those 24 sessions, we're actually doing a 3rd track, but we're doing it the week before. So the week before the conference, which is September 6th for the workshop, 7th and 8th for the actual conference, the week before, Monday, August the 29th through Friday, September the 2nd, we're going to have 2 sessions a day. So 5 days, 10 sessions, and those are all going to be live for all the Into the Box attendees to watch. And then we're going to allow them to be downloaded. So if you guys can't see the session because you're doing all your last minute work before you leave, you can actually download the video, put it on your laptop, and you can watch it on the plane while you're stuck at an airport between, flights or whatever. So you'll have 10 sessions you can actually watch. And we have some great speakers there.
So those are regular, just so that we're clear, those are regular, like 1 hour sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're running in the week prior to the event, and they're going to be. Are you streaming them online, or
we're streaming them live online for all those Into the Box attendees? So if you're an attendee, you can tune in live and get it. But we're recording them, and so this is going to give you some access to some of those great ColdFusion community speakers that you can't usually get access to. So Matthew Clemente is not able to make it to the conference this year, but he's going to be speaking about cold brews, getting started with Java in your CFML apps. We got Kai Koenig, who can't travel from New Zealand because of COVID conditions right now, but he's going to be giving you modern ways to keep on top of crashes and errors in your applications. Brian Rinaldi, who used to be an older CFML developer, he moved away, and now he's actually working for Launch Darkly. So he's going to be doing feature flagging as just simple Booleans false. So he's going to be speaking about feature flags for Launch Darkly. We got Charlie Earhart, who's going to be comparing and contrasting Docker images from Ortus, Adobe, and Lucy. And then we got Mark Takata talking about advanced manipulations of PDF documents using Adobe ColdFusion DDX. And then Ray Camden's going to be doing another basically Adobe PDF session where it's going to be talking about extending PDF capabilities with Adobe document services. And we have 3 more sessions that we're still waiting for the speakers to confirm. A lot of travel, a lot of previous commitments. And so these 1 hour sessions will be available to download for those Into the Box attendees. They can watch on the plane or whatever. We thought that'd be kind of cool to, again, we want to get you hyped up and ready for Into the Box. And this way we're going to actually have about 34 sessions plus some keynotes. And then we have a whole 1 day workshop. We got 5 different workshops to pick the day before the conference. So this is basically like 3 days of conference, but it's spread out. So lots of content, lots of great speakers. And so when you add all those community speakers in, it's like half of the talks are going to be from community speakers, which is what we love. We love people talking about ColdFusion, and like some of this stuff is nothing to do with Ortus. We're talking about using Java in ColdFusion apps, And then Michael Bourne from Ortus, he's not able to make it to the conference, but he's going to be speaking about Melee Search, which is a search platform for the rest of us. And you thought CB Elasticsearch was pretty cool. Melee Search is really cool. Like all the defaults that CB Elasticsearch should have, or Elasticsearch. CB Elasticsearch just talks to it, but Melee Search, it comes with all those smart search options you normally want, and out of the box, it's pretty slick. And so he's going to be speaking about that. And then, like I said, 3 more sessions to be announced. We're hoping to get some other big names. I
feel like we're in one of those late night TV commercial things. Wait, there's more. This offer includes these things and these extra things. Yeah, operators are standing by to take your order now.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the thing.
Let's just talk about the pre-conference the pre-conference workshops, the full-day training sessions. Is that true? Or?
Yeah. So we have 5 workshops, which are going to be a full-day workshop, and so those are the day before. So the September 6th is a Tuesday. Monday's Labor Day, so it's a good time for everyone to travel. They could travel on that day or before. And then basically the Tuesday is going to be workshops. And so you've got 5 great workshops to choose from, and they are filling up. There's limited seating, but we always make them about 10 to 15 people. So that way you've got a couple, 2 to 3 Ortus people there to help you, and they're very hands-on. You're not going to just
you have the teacher of the class, but then you've got teacher training assistants or teacher assistants who go around the class. You bring your laptop, you have all the software installed on your laptop ahead of time.
Yep, we'll give you that list.
And then you work through whatever the topic is. And you've got some asynchronous programming, containerization, legacy code conversion, test box, Vue.js, and mobile apps and REST APIs. And so the idea here is not only do you learn how to do it, but it's hands-on. You got examples you play with it. And if you get stuck, someone will come around and help you get unstuck.
Yep. And yeah, we've had a great success with these workshops in the past. A lot of these are actually new workshops because over the last few years, we've had even 2 days of workshops. In previous years, you could do one full day workshop and the next day do another full day workshop before the conference. And so we go with Labor Day weekend and everything. We just did 1 day workshop. And so, yeah, you can pick. Luis and Eric Peterson are going to be leading the asynchronous programming and scheduling one. John Clausen for Captain Container is going to be working with Grant Copley with containerizing and scaling your applications. Dan Card and Alan Quinlan are going to be helping you convert legacy code to the modern world. And then Brad Wood and Javier Quintero are going to be talking about test box, so getting started with BDD, TDD testing. And then myself and Daniel Garcia are going to be doing a Vue.js Spa and mobile app powered by REST API. So that one we're actually going to build a little Vue app and export it so you can play with it on Windows or on an Android tablet. It's pretty neat. And so there's a lot of great workshops here. And it's like I said, it's really hands-on. You should have your laptop with you. We'll send you information before the class to make sure you have all the big stuff downloaded, so we're not sitting there for an hour trying to download everybody download everything at the same time on conference Wi-Fi. So we'll have you ready to go. And then we walk through, talk through, show you something, and then you get time to do it. And then we'll have at least 2 people, but in the bigger classes, we'll probably have a 3rd or a 4th attendee. TA helping as well. But, these are Ortus people that know what they're doing and leading you through it. And yeah, they're great sessions. They're new too. So if you've been to a previous workshop, these are different. These are new. And I think there's a lot there. And a couple of them are getting pretty close to full. So that's where you have to make sure we put them in the bigger room and get an extra TA to help. But yeah, there's still spots available right now for all of them. And again, we'll try and fit everybody in, but there are limited seats, so sign up and get your ticket for that.
So what an amazing lineup of topics and speakers, Gavin. I'm almost going into excitement, ColdFusion overload. I may need to add an extra few CPUs to my brain to deal with how much ColdFusion goodness there is here.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about how people can register for the event and what all these different things cost?
Yeah. Well, obviously, intothebox.org is where you can find out all the information. We're updating it daily. And so we've been adding all the pre-conference stuff there. The new sessions will be there as well. We got all the speakers up there. So I think there's a few I haven't even mentioned, like Daniel Garcia and George Murphy and Esmeralda Acevedo. We got so many speakers. It's crazy to keep them up. But if you go to intothebox.org, you can see all that. And then the ticket pricing. So regular ticket prices now, we did have early bird specials, but those have gone. But the conference itself is $595. And then if you want to do the conference and the workshop before, it's $995. And I think we've got a special deal for the TerraTech podcast listeners, don't we?
We do. You can save 20% off that price. So that's more than a Benjamin in your pocket for using that code. The code is Terra ITB for Into the Box 20. So that's, see if I pronounce this word, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's Terra ITB20. God, what a word. And there's a direct link in the show notes that will get you to the checkout page with the discount code filled in. So that saves you both on the conference. And just to be clear, the conference gets you 2 days of workshops and a whole week of those pre-conference online sessions, plus the corridor track where you can snag Brad Wood or Gavin or Luis or anyone else you can get hold of who's there to answer your tech questions, which is probably worth the price of admission alone. And then if you decide to go to one of those 1 day, full day, in-person, hands-on workshops, the discount code applies to those as well. So, and they're filling up fast. So, that's how you can register. And do you have some kind of what if someone gets sick or whatever at the last minute? Is there a transfer ticket policy, or what? How do you guys deal with that?
We'll make it work. Just, let us know, and we'll try and work with you there. And also if we can transfer it or do something. And I know that people in the past have, had a workshop and they weren't able to attend or whatnot. And then, the next time we did one at CF Summit, which we have a workshop there as well, we've made it work so we could, get them over to that one. So just let us know. I mean, we'll always try and work with everybody. So,
well, that's great to hear, because we're living in a somewhat chaotic world this year, it seems. Been through so many narrative shifts, from COVID to wars in Europe to monkeys having spots to goodness knows what else. And I do know that there are, some places in the world where people, last minute they find out they can't travel for whatever reason. So really appreciate you having that flexibility there. Yeah, and what that means is there's absolutely, if you're excited about Into the Box as I and Gavin are, I know Gavin's got his New Zealand I'm not really excited expression on, but look at that t-shirt. There you go. Yep. Yes. No, but if you're excited about this, there's no reason not to register for Into the Box. I can guarantee everyone listening, you are going to learn a lot of ColdFusion goodness. You're going to learn a lot of technology and ecosystem stuff you didn't even know existed. And you will get your car running on supercharged round wheels for a comfortable ride for all your users of your ColdFusion applications. So that's been our experience at TerraTech. So,
and the cool thing is you get all the sessions after the fact on CFcast. So even if you don't have a paid CFcast membership, we give you access to this year's 2022 videos as part of the, part of your attendance fee. So basically, if you buy that, then you get buy the ticket. You can watch hopefully half the sessions in one track if you're sitting in the same room the whole time. You don't have to make that hard decision like, which one am I going to see? Because you get to see the other one later. We're going to record all the sessions and make them available on CFcast as well. So not only do you get all of the stuff from the track that you're sitting in, but you also get the other one as well. They'll be recorded later, so you can watch them later. And that's great when you want to go and actually walk through them one by one and, follow the steps.
Even for the ones I have attended in person, it's nice to have a recording to go back, because sometimes I get so excited about some new, information I learn that I miss the next 5 minutes of whatever Luis or Brad or you are talking about. So it's nice to be able to, replay it back, or skip to the bit that's really exciting. What about code samples? Do your speakers provide code samples for what they're doing, or how does that work?
And then we usually do that. We attach them to the actual speaker session. So we'll put them on the website. And you can actually go see the previous year's Into the Boxes on the Into the Box site. There's a little button with a drop down for the previous years, and they have a lot of the great content from the more recent years there, so you can see the previous session descriptions and stuff. But code samples and slides, we'll make those all available, and we try to add them into the CF Cast as well, so that way when you're watching them on CF Cast, you should be able to link straight to them. And if they're not there, just let somebody know on the Box team Slack, and then we'll try and get those links added into CF Cast. That way, when you're watching the video, you can click to the GitHub repo or to download the zip of the files, or click on the slides and be able to look at it right there. So yeah, we try and make all that available. We harass the speakers to make sure we get all that information, and then we try and make it available. So yeah, so yes, that will be there, and we'll have the Into the Box app, a progressive web app available. So you guys will be able to do that on your phone, to be able to look at your sessions and figure out which one you want to go to, add them to your schedule. So that'll be available right before the conference as well. So we'll try and get everything there. So yeah, you guys can learn the most, because we don't want you to spend all your time writing everything down while you're there. We want you to enjoy the session, get the most out of it, and then reference back to it later. So we want you to get the most out of it, and that's the goal, is to introduce you to a bunch of different things and ideas, and get different perspectives from artists in the community, and yeah, again, have a good time, learn a lot, and then be inspired and ready to go.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited about Into the Box 2022, 9th edition of this conference. Let's shift gears slightly, and I'm curious, Gavin, you have a lot of experience with a lot of ColdFusion. You're very active in the ColdFusion community. What are you most excited about this year in CFML land?
Well, obviously Into the Box is going to be a big event, but CF Summit is back as well. So CF Summit's going to be in Vegas again this year. So Adobe has got that, and they've got some really good discounts on everything, because Vegas's prices have gone up like crazy. Trust me, we know, because we're doing a workshop right after CF Summit, and the rooms that we normally get for these, they've like doubled in price. So Adobe is spending a lot of money to make this conference affordable for you guys still. So there's 2 days of great content from them, and they have a 1-day workshop after it. We have a 2-day workshop right after that, and so if you guys want to attend that conference, that's a great conference. Again, a lot of great speakers. And I think Adobe's going to be dropping some hints here really soon about the next version of ColdFusion. So I heard Adobe CF 2023, they're doing a session later in the year, a webinar at the end of December about Adobe CF 2023. And so I think at CF Summit, they're going to probably start to talk a little bit about that. And I know they just released that VS Code extension for CF Builder. And so it's in beta.
It's not really. It's in beta.
Sorry, it's a public beta is what I mean. It's released as a public beta, so you guys can try that out. And so I know that they're going to be releasing that soon. So it's just really great to see all these tools coming together and all these releases. So, it's always great to see what Adobe's doing with Adobe ColdFusion. So the next version's coming out. So I know they're wanting to push more cloud stuff, and we're living in the cloud these days. So it's great to see what they're doing. And I'm excited to, find out more about that. So CF Summit is going to be a big event. So that's going to be at the start of October. So 1 month after Into the Box, CF Summit in Vegas, again, 2-day conference. And then we have our training workshop. So we're doing basically a hero to mega hero training after CF Summit. And so that one we're going to be doing, because we've done the ColdBox 0 to Hero and the API edition. This one, we're going to be doing, all of that, CF migrations and APIs, and we're going to be doing Vue.js code and showing you how to work with that and build apps and actually publish apps with it. So it's going to be a great one. Me and Luis are teaching that one. So we're excited. And I just got an email last night that I'll be speaking at CF Summit as well. I know a couple of the other Audis people have got emails as well. So it's going to be a really good time. So other than Into the Box, I can't wait for CF Summit. And then again, finding out news about Adobe CF 2023 and then the VS Code stuff. But
it's a very exciting year for ColdFusion, and definitely makes me think ColdFusion is way more than alive this year. Sure. I just want to add into the releases. I'm expecting the Lucy 6 beta, open beta, to be out real soon now. I was chatting with Zach over at the Lucy community team, and they're fixing some bugs in the latest version of 5.3. whatever that version number is.
539 or 5.3.10. Yeah,
something like that. So they wanted to fix issues, which obviously are going to go into version 6. Anyway, he wrote a blog post about this on the Lucy site, and then they're hoping to get the beta for Lucy 6 out. He didn't put an exact time frame on it, but I think it'll be out in the next month, and then probably the final one will come out, with this year as well. So new versions of Adobe ColdFusion, new version of Lucy. We've got the Builder tool. We've got unlimited number of box product updates coming out. Well, I said unlimited. It's probably about a dozen to 20 is my guess.
At least
coming out. So a lot of cool stuff in ColdFusion world. If folks want to find you online, Gavin, what are the best ways to do that?
Well, I'm on Twitter at gpickin. So G and then picking, like you're picking something up off the ground, but the G's on the front, not at the end. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well, but I'm on the Box team Slack. I'm on the CFML Slack as well. I've been doing lots of stuff on online CF meetup with Charlie. And then obviously I'm on the CFML News podcast every week. So if you go to cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, you'll find out about that. We basically broadcast every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. But yeah, it's hard to miss me. Autosolutions.com, you'll see lots of blogs and everything else, but lots going on. But yeah, I'm just hoping we can meet a lot more people out at Into the Box here in Houston in just under a month. It's come up fast. So a month from today will be the workshops, basically. And then this is recording on...
It's incredibly easy to... It's Houston, Texas, and actually it's at a different hotel nearer to the airport, which means it's very easy to get to.
Yep, it's a great new venue. We're really excited about this one. It's the next step up in venues, and it looks amazing. So we can't wait to get there and again have a great conference. And then Happy Box is our trademarked party that we have at the end of the first day. So usually have a mariachi band, some drinks and snacks and everything, and just a little bit more time to hang out with all the speakers and everything. So we really love to do the Happy Box. It's the only mariachi band party in the ColdFusion community. So you have to.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast to talk about Into the Box, Gavin.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll see everybody at either Into the Box or CF Summit this year.
Get detailed show notes on today's episode in your free CF Alive Modern ColdFusion Guide at teratech.com. That is teratech.com. Viva la CF Alive Revolution!